Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me out there? Okay. The board has already met in executive session, and we saluted the flag there. So at this point, we're going to start the regular session of the Board of Education meeting. I just wanted to draw your attention to the statement of public notice. It says that during the board meeting, there are 2 times for public comment. The first one is on agenda items, where you can speak on anything that's listed on the agenda tonight. And the second public comment is on non-agenda items, which is where you can talk about anything else that you'd like to talk about. If you do come up to the microphone for public comment, there's a clipboard down there. You can put your name and address and tell the board your name and address before you speak. Okay, thank you. We have, before we go down to, we have a lot of people here for recognition. Oh, we didn't do our roll call yet. We have to do a roll call, sorry. Mr. McLaughlin?
Mr. Byrne? Here. Mrs. Swerner?
Here.
Mrs. Gray?
Here.
Mr. Salmon?
Here.
Mrs. White?
Here.
Mrs. Richmond?
Here.
Mrs. Korn?
Here.
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Here.
Mr. Markarian? Here. Mr. Syatt? Here. Mrs. McCune?
Here.
Madam President?
Thank you. Before we go down for all of the student and staff recognitions tonight, we have our student representative, R.J. Milligan.
Hi, everyone. I haven't really reported in a few weeks, so I want to start off with the prom. And prom was definitely a lot of fun. A lot of my friends went into it thinking, it's not going to be great. But we really had a great time. It was a great event. Everyone had a lot of fun. And then the week after that went pretty smoothly without any real big disruptions in class time. And then currently we have our Senior Spirit Week. And today was Meme Monday. And not as many people participated in it as we thought we're going to, but it could just be because it's Monday and a lot of people forgot about it. But still definitely went a lot smoother than last year's Spirit Week did. And then this Friday we have our senior dinner, which should be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a great way to really celebrate all the time that we've had together, all these 4 years. And now after that, we just have 2 more weeks together. And it's kind of this week and then next week is just the big final pushes in all of our classes with some big end of the year projects that we have to get through, and then pretty much after that it's all over, and then we have graduation. And this is going to be my last meeting, so I just want to thank all of you for giving me this opportunity to speak every week, and it's been a great experience, so thank you.
Thank you. And you've been an amazing rep. I think you've been at maybe every meeting this all year. Very good attendance. Does anyone have questions for RJ?
When will we be finding out who will be joining us in the fall?
I think, I'm not sure. Wait, I'm not sure. I think they already had the elections, so soon they might have already found out.
Okay.
Not 100% sure.
Well, we look forward to seeing who our rep will be next year.
Have you picked a college yet?
I have. I'm going to a Washington and Lee University. Sure.
Well, thank you. And if you would like to stay to listen to the recognitions, you're welcome. But we're all going to move down below for that part. Okay?
Right. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming out to join us this evening. We have a lot of fun celebrations planned. We have a wonderful set of recognitions for some of the accomplishments of our students. This year, we'll be working on this both during this meeting as well as our next meeting on June 18th. In addition to having our students here this evening, we're going to be recognizing some of our retirees. So I know some of you are here for that. And I just want to thank you all for joining us this evening for these celebrations. And without further ado, we're going to get started with our Ridge High School forensics team and their advisor, Dave Yastrzemski.
Good evening, everyone. A couple years ago, I was talking to Mr. Markarian, and he mentioned, wouldn't it be something to have one of the members of the forensics team actually speak before we did the recognition? And this year, there was one individual whom I was really excited to ask to serve in that role. And I'm going to allow her to tell you a little bit of her own story, and then I'll give you a more formal introduction after she speaks. But it's my pleasure to welcome up here Ms. Christine Wang.
Albert Einstein once said, "Learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow." The important thing is to not stop questioning. Even though he understood that concept, he couldn't foreshadow the next revelation. On April 18, 1955, he died from an aneurysm rupture. According to Healthline, on a September 1st, 2013 article, an aneurysm is a ballooning and weakening area in an artery and can rupture, causing internal bleeding, common in the brain, legs, or spleen, following a hemorrhagic stroke. But for those who haven't heard, seen, or truly experienced one with an aneurysm, let's first follow Einstein's lead and learn about an aneurysm and its devastation. Next, let's live for today by understanding the signs and the effects. To finally, let's hope for tomorrow by realizing that one can survive and grow from an aneurysm experience. After all, Einstein said, information itself is not knowledge. Rather, the source of knowledge is experience. As a whole, your brain functions as a team. The two halves are partners, left and right, tick and talk. But if any mishap occur, one neuron, one impulse, one heartbeat can cause major damage. Tick, tock. Tick, tock. Tick. Let's pause the stopwatch. This berry-looking object, according to the Mayfield Clinic, in a 2013 article, is a life-threatening clot and carries a 50% risk of death. It can start in other areas of the body, from the gut, into the bloodstream, and into the brain. It can be as small as 5 millimeters, or 1/4 of an inch, to 25 millimeters, or 1 1/4 of an inch. They normally develop in those 35 to 60 years old, with most patients 40 years old. The Brain Aneurysm Foundation states that there is around 6 million people in the United States alone that have unruptured aneurysms, or 1 in 50 people. According to the Stroke Association, 1.5 to 5% of the general population has or will develop a cerebral aneurysm, and 0.5 to 3% suffer from bleeding. On average, there's an aneurysm rupturing every 18 minutes. There are preeminent signs like headaches, local pain, numbness or weakness with a leg or an arm. Some risk factors are smoking, high blood pressure, genetics, or lifestyle. Now, the most important thing to survive an aneurysm is immediate medical care. According to ShareCare, ruptured aneurysm must be treated quickly, within minutes, or they could be deadly. 50% of all ruptured aneurysms are fatal. As the clock ticks away, every second counts. Remember when Einstein's aneurysm was on April 18, 1955? Well, on his almost 62nd anniversary, on March 18, 2015, just 1 month prior to that, a 17-year-old girl experienced the same trauma. This 17-year-old girl was planning to go to college and was going to major in business. This 17-year-old girl had aspirations in athletics. She was the captain of her tennis and golf team and was very involved in other activities, like orchestra, debate, volunteering, and community service. That 17-year-old girl was me. I had an aneurysm. On March 18, 2015, my clock literally stopped. During orchestra, I felt a switch turn off, a shutdown one. I don't exactly remember what happened, but my teacher called the nurses. The nurses called 911, and the urgent surgery followed at Morristown Memorial Hospital. After a CT scan, my doctors investigated a bulge on my left side, performed surgery, and removed a part of my skull to protect the brain and to alleviate the pressure. They told us that my aneurysm was golf ball size when it ruptured. I was in the intensive care unit for 6 weeks in an induced coma. After I stabilized, I transferred to New Brunswick Hospital as an inpatient, where I was confused, sad, and depressed. It took me weeks, but I finally regained consciousness. I underwent intense rehabilitation as my family, friends, and teachers renewed my hope in my recovery. I started with speech therapy, which gave me a new voice. On April of 2015, I opened my mouth to utter, ugh, my first sound in weeks. Based on the area of the brain, patients could have aphasia or a language disorder like trouble understanding, speaking, reading, writing, or understanding language, according to the American Speech Hearing Language Association. For 1 hour in therapy, I gave my full effort and attention to say, hi, Mom, angry. By the time I transferred to New Brunswick Hospital, though, I was able to say 1 word, 3 words, 5 words, a sentence, and then another year later, a full paragraph. I also had occupational and physical therapy where I had to relearn everything. I had to relearn how to move my feet, sit up, and pedal with a stationary bike. On September of 2015, I wrote my name for the first time with my left hand. I was a righty, but not anymore. In October, I learned how to tie my shoes, zip my jacket, and to open my right hand. In November, I learned how to walk with the treadmill, run with elliptical, and then another year later, attempt to play tennis and golf. It was very difficult. Even now, it takes a couple seconds to do basic tasks. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. My therapists say I'm improving. I was discharged from speech therapy, occupational therapy, and physical therapy, and my other therapists are decreasing my needs. Before this 21-year-old graduates high school, I will be discharged from all therapy. Now I can have new goals, like wearing a suit, preparing my visual aids, and delivering a speech. Oh, wait. Check, and check. I hope we have learned about mannerisms, the causes, the effects, and the importance of survival and support. I believe that everyone needs a goal and a passion. Before, I thought, I can't talk. I can't walk. I can't move. Now, I can talk. I can walk. And I can move. And more. My passion is to help others in small acts of kindness. Whether I'm giving a hug, giving emotional support, or even giving a talk about my experience. It's hard to think that I can change the world. But honestly, I could. I can, and I will. I have many tics and talks yet to go.
So just to give you a little bit of backstory, Christine joined the Ridge Forensics team in 2011 as a public forum debater and debated several years on the team. And then after she returned back to Ridge, I saw one of her video blogs that she did talking about her story, and I immediately knew, I was like, I need to get her back to share this with other people. So this past year, Christine took the communications course, and that's where we started working on the speech right there. And then in March, she actually returned to competition for the first time in several years, and she competed twice with the speech, just missed finals by that much. But when I called the national organization because they needed to reinstate her membership, the executive director actually sent her a note, and she doesn't know that he did this. But he did send us a note, and I thought I would share it with you now. Christine, come back over here. Christine, Mr. Yastrzemski informed me of your tremendous health battle over the past couple of years. I am inspired by your perseverance and strength. Congratulations on a great senior year of competition, and good luck as you use your voice to move mountains. J. Scott Lund. So tonight, I'm happy to present Christine with her certificate with the National Forensic League of Distinction for her competitive series since 2011, along with her honor cords and Mr. Lund's note to you. So thank you very much. And Christine's going to stay up here while we recognize the remaining members of the team. I'm going to ask our current president, Keyshawn, or new incoming president, Keyshawn Gondam, and Vice President Sonali Pai to come down and help with the certificates. Now, as we all know, if you've been here before, there is a tradition in forensics competition at awards. There's a lot of awards that go on for a while, so we've always instituted the one clap rule. So I know some of the board members spent time in executive session practicing together. Mrs. Swerner has assured me of this, so we're gonna get everybody on board. So when I say a name, then you're gonna give one big clap. Shall we try it? Christine Wang. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to ask the team to come on down. And as you get your certificate, just go over to stage right. We're recognizing those individuals today that qualified and competed at the Tournament of Champions in the University of Kentucky, at the National Catholic Forensic League National Championship in Washington, D.C., and those that are going to be competing at the National Speech and Debate Association Championship in Fort Lauderdale in 2 weeks. In addition, we're also going to be recognizing our state champions for this year. So starting off, NCFL qualifier, TOC qualifier, Raheel Abu Bakar. NSDA qualifier, Vikram Agrawal. NCFL qualifier, Omar Bekdash. NCFL qualifier, Nicholas Casey. NCFL qualifier, Charlize Chen. NCFL qualifier, Marco Kukar. NCFL and TOC qualifier, Ashita Dixit. NCFL qualifier, Libra Faruqi. Not here tonight in absentia, NCFL qualifier, NSDA and TOC, Camille First. NCFL and NSDA qualifier, Udish Gadapati. NCFL qualifier, NSDA TOC, Mr. Kishan Gandhi. NCFL and NSDA, James Gao. NCFL, Arnab Gupta. NCFL and a co-champion in New Jersey Speech League, Jennifer Huang. NCFL and NSDA, Rohan Juntakar. TOC qualifier, Mason Crone. NCFL qualifier, Nihal Kurhi. New Jersey State champion in Nadas Public Forum, Nura Kuti. TOC qualifier, NJ Lee. NSDA TOC qualifier, Brandon Liu. NCFL qualifier and TOC champion, yes, she won the championship, Anjini Mathur. NCFL and NSDA qualifier, Rehan Murad. NCFL qualifier, Tanvi Nam Joshi. NCFL qualifier, TOC and NJ Speech and Debate League state champion, and Vita Prasad. NSDA qualifier and TOC, Adabarsan Ravi Arsan. NCFL and TOC qualifier, Malika Rabidran. TOC qualifier, Adit Roy. NCFL, NSDA, and TOC, Siddharth Hassan. NCFL qualifier, Alexander Smith. NCFL, NSDA, and TOC, Mr. Maxwell Su. NCFL and New Jersey Speech and Debate League's state champion and junior varsity Lincoln Douglas, Daphne Tang. NSDA qualifier, Kevin Tang. NCFL, NSDA, TOC, Mr. Jonathan Tondora. NCFL and NSDA, Miss Catherine Wang. NCFL and NSDA, Miss Emily Wang. New Jersey State Champion in Public Forum Debate, Julie Wang. NCFL, NSDA, and TOC, Mr. Kyle Watkins. NCFL and TOC, Lucy Way. New Jersey State Champion in Declamation, Kathy Way. NCFL, NSDA, and TOC, Mr. Albert Nguyen. NCFL, NSDA, and TOC is debate partner, Albert Wu. NCFL, NSDA, and New Jersey Coach State Champion, Jerry Yang. NCFL and NSDA, Andrea Zhang. NCFL, Miss Esther Zhang. And TOC qualifier, Miss Grace Zhu. Ladies and gentlemen, the Rich Forensics Team 2017-2018. Thank you. And while the students are exiting, I just want to give a big thanks to the administration of Bernards Township, to the administration of Ridge High School, and the entire Board of Education, because without your support, without your guidance, these students would not be able to achieve as much as they do. I know many people are in this audience that were big contributors to Catherine Wang's growth and success tonight. I thank you because you brought something really special to our team because of all of the efforts these past years that you dedicated to her. I know she thanks you. And again, tonight, thank you for this opportunity to allow her to bring her voice to this stage. I'm sure she will, and all of them will continue to move mountains.
Okay, congratulations, and thank you for coming this evening. Thank you, Mr. Yastrzemski. Next up, we have some of our Latin students, and here for them are their advisors, Josh Gebhardt and John Rathgate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Markarian, and thank you, Board of Ed members, for giving us this opportunity to acknowledge our Latin students' accomplishments this year. These students will be recognized for placing first on the National Latin Exam, which is quite a challenge, very rare, although we have several students who have done it. And they will also be recognized for placing first in an academic competition at the New Jersey Junior Classic League State Convention in May, and also for being a member of the first place in the state academic team at the Montclair State University Classics Day in October. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague John Rathgeb, who's going to acknowledge the William Annan Latin students.
Okay, so we have 6 students who earned perfect papers on the National Latin Exam, which means 40 out of 40 correct. And in addition, one of our 8th graders, Gordon Lee, also achieved first place on the Roman Life academic competition at the state convention. So the students are Sungwon Chung, Gordon Lee, Samantha Liu, who is not present this evening, Pranav Pendry, Eveline West, and Jonathan Webb.
From Ridge High School for a perfect score on the National Latin Exam, we have Oliver Abrams, a member of the Montclair State University Classics Day Academic League team, and also a Latin vocabulary and derivatives first place winner for the advanced level, Matthew Chase. For placing first in 2 of the academic competitions at the state convention, Annika Helgeson, Latin grammar advanced, or rather Latin 1 first place, Latin vocabulary and derivatives first place, and a perfect score on the National Latin Exam. For a perfect score on the National Latin Exam, Caitlin King. A member of the Montclair State University Classics Day academic team, and also a perfect score on the National Latin Exam, Austin Siegel. Montclair State University Classics Day academic team member, Sikatha Sengupta. Montclair State University Classics Day academic league team, and also perfect score on the National Latin Exam, Caroline Shaw. In absentia, Matthew Wang, Montclair State University Classics Day academic team. In absentia, but his brother is here to pick up his award, a Roman Daily Life first place for level 2, Ryan Watkins. And last but by no means least, Montclair State University Classics Day academic league team member, Andrea Zhang. Congratulations to them all, and thank you once again for this opportunity. Administrators, Board of Ed members, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Gebhardt, Mr. Rathgeb. Thank you for being here. Next up, we have our math supervisor, Tara Bowman, to recognize the accomplishments of some of our math student competitions.
Good evening. Really? Is this the mic? Can you guys hear me? And I do have just a 2-minute or less, if I can find it, slideshow. Is it this one? Mike, where do we put it?
It's minimized there somewhere.
I don't see it. Can you come down and help me? Oh, it's here. Oh, yeah, right. That's it. Good. Thank you. Okay, what I decided to do is we are recognizing 18 mathletes out of well over 100 Bernards Township students that participated in numerous contests from middle school all the way through high school. And many of these students, more than one contest. Would be here all night if I went through everybody. So these 18 that are going to be recognized tonight have accomplished what very, very, very few students have. So I would like to just show it in a slideshow. We have 2 students who earned a scholarship from the Mu Alpha Theta National Math Honor Society. These following 2 students were national winners of the Continental Math League, and we had about 70 students participate in the Continental Math League at William Annan. We also have these 5 students that came in, their score was 3rd. Look at them all back there talking to each other. 3rd in the nation, as well as having many, many, many students who ranked other scores that were just amazing. If you saw some of these questions, I don't even understand how anybody would even want to answer them. These 3 students all tied for the first place score, which actually was a perfect score on the Math League contest in the state. These following students, and I know you do see some names that keep popping up, top 1% in the nation. This is not just within our neighboring school districts, this is within the nation. These following students started at the bottom of a lot of contests to get their score through the AMC 8, the AMC 10, the AMC 12, and they all qualified to take the Amy, which back in my day, I think there may have been 1 student, I remember when I was involved in that might make it. Then, I'm gonna brag, because I'm very proud of this. This is my first experience with the Math Counts competition. I myself did not know a lot about it. Students I knew were involved. And our WAMS team, for the first time, was acknowledged by the board. And our WAMS team of these 4 young men won state championship. So we won the New Jersey State. From that, I was nominated the state coach because I had these 4 wonderful students, which then 2 of whom and myself were down in Washington, D.C. for 4 days competing nationwide with 56 states competing and territories. Guam was there, Puerto Rico. It was 242 students, top kids. This team came in 3rd. This team came in 3rd. I hope he's here, because I do not see him. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Okay. And this young man came within the top 4 kids of all 242 students. It was on ESPN3, because it was a national event. It was an awful lot of fun. So I'm very proud. Honestly, I could be here all night with the amount of contests that we have going on in the state, in the district, in the nation. But these 18, as you saw, the names appeared a couple of times, so I wanted to do them due justice. And instead of going each competition, they're all just going to get a mathlete certificate from the Board of Education. So I'm going to call them down now. Lucas Chen, although I do not think he's here, right? Okay. Kevin Kong. Kavo Hariham. I'm pronouncing it right, don't make fun. Darren Gia, I believe mom or dad might be here instead. Congratulations. Stanley Jiang. Okay. Sydney Lawrence. Sang-hook Lee. Shrikar Matabushi. Zoe Pan. Yash Samatini. Kevin Tang. Jeffrey Wang. Daniel Zia. Our math counts champion. Alan Zhang. Andrew Zhang. Jason Zhang. And Eric Zhu. Andrew.
Jason.
Eric. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bowman. Okay, next up, our science supervisor, Mr. Miziak, is here to recognize some of our accomplishments for many awards our students received in science.
So with math being on ESPN3, that's a little bit of a tough act to follow. Yeah. So I'll follow it actually by showing the plaque for the Science League. There are districts that go multiple years without getting a single team onto the plaque, yet Ridge managed to fill this plaque like every year. So we're pretty good at what we do, and I feel really good about what these kids do. Rather than call them up over and over and over again, I'm going to give you a summary of everything and then call them up once at the end. To lead things off, this year's recipient of the Bosch Lam Honorary Science Award is Jerry Yang. Stay seated because Jerry's name is going to come up again. I'll get everybody at the end. The recipient of the Rensselaer Medal is Rohan Jinjakar. The Society of Women Engineers, affectionately known as SWE, bestows an award upon an 11th and a 12th grade student. Our 12th grade student, Joyce Ahn, was already honored at the senior awards dinner, but our 11th grade recipient is Salani Harari. For our Science League and other competitions, I have it broken out by our content, starting with biology. Biology 1, the team was second place in New Jersey. Angelina Zhu was first in New Jersey. Ripu Subramanian was 12th in New Jersey. Juliet Note was 14th in New Jersey. Jacqueline Shen was 23rd in New Jersey. And Elizabeth Polito was 28th in New Jersey. They are all receiving plaques this evening for their top 10% performance in the state of New Jersey. Our Biology 2 League was first in New Jersey. Dhruv Dalal was first in New Jersey. Kusha Min was 7th in New Jersey. And Joyce An was 13th in New Jersey. Our Toronto Biology exam is a test given across the world. Kaivu Hariharan placed 9th internationally among 4,800 test takers. He was also in the top 10 last year. I forget the exact place, but he has placed as a sophomore and has previously placed as a freshman. Just about everybody else on that list was a senior. So very, very proud of Kaivu for that. Kusha Min placed 19th internationally. And because of those scores, RHS ranked 4th internationally. For Chemistry 1, we were 2nd in New Jersey. Arul Gupta was a tie for 10th place in New Jersey with his teammate Anthony Long. Chemistry 2 was 3rd in New Jersey. Jerry Yang placed 3rd. Brandon Liu placed 8th. And Taiwan Chung placed 20th. For our Chemistry Olympiad, there were 16,000 participants at the local level. The top 1,000 students advance. Despite having 4 students qualify, a school is restricted to allowing only 2 to advance. Joyce An was awarded the honors distinction by the American Chemical Society, finishing in the top 144 competitors nationwide. Jerry Yang received the same distinction for placing in the top 140 competitors nationwide. Unfortunately, due to the restrictions, Daniel Wei and Taiwan Chung were not allowed to advance despite having qualified. They did phenomenally well. And the American Chemical Society sponsors an Earth Day illustrated poem contest. Angela Huang was 1st regionally and 2nd in the nation. Moving on to physics, our Physics 1 League, 1st in New Jersey. With Jeffrey Wang being 1st in New Jersey. The AP Physics 2 League, 1st in New Jersey. Matt Wang was 2nd. And I need to specify this, Andrea Zhang, the 12th grader, was 4th. Our AP Physics C League was 7th in New Jersey. With the following students being recognized as being in the top 10% of New Jersey: Edward Hu, Max Sun, Sydney Lawrence, and Nitesh Kumar. My apologies to the AP Physics C team, as they actually haven't yet released the official student placement, so I don't have them available for you. Our Physics Olympiad, Andrea Zhang was a semifinalist nationally. And I saved this one for last. Our Science Olympiad was in its 1st season competing. The division bracket, call it what you may, is affectionately known as the bracket of death. because the districts they're in are unbelievably competitive in the area of science. No team ever advances in their first year, except Bridge, because that's what we do. Under the topic of anatomy and physiology, Bliss Kong and Shri, I'm sorry, I'm going to mess your last name up, Gudakanda, third in the region. Forensic Science, Avery Fields and Lindsay Lackos, sixth in the region. Disease Detectives, Bliss Kong and Shri Gudakanda, once again, fifth in the state. And in the category of solar vehicle, Emily Perna competed alone, sixth in the state. So as you heard that list, you heard not only people you've heard from Latin and from forensic debate and from math, but also for science. We have some repeat offenders. At this time, when I call your name, please come down to receive your various awards. Kushamin. And please go to my left, your right, where Mrs. Mitchell has your various awards. Joyce On. Jacqueline Chen. Taiwan Chung. Drew Dalal. Avery Fields. Arul Gupta. Shri Gudakanda. Kaivu Hariharan. Salani Harare. Edward Ho. Angela Huang. Rohan Jintakar. Bliss Kong. Mitesh Kumar. Lindsay Lackos. Anthony Lon. Sydney Lawrence. Brandon Liu. Juliet Knoll. Emily Perna. Elizabeth Polito. Ripu Subramanian. Max Sun. Jeffrey Wang. Matthew Wang. Daniel Way. Angelina Zhu. Jerry Yang. And Andrea Zhang. Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate the amount of support that these kids get. They do so much for the school and put in a crazy amount of hours. I really have to thank my staff, who is here 12 hours a day to make this all possible, and really appreciate the support of the Ridge administration as well as the upper administration and the Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miziak. It's always just such a privilege to be able to be part of these proceedings and hear about how all of our students are doing. We know that it really does take a village in terms of all the support from the staff and from the administration and, of course, from parents. None of this happens without a really big collective effort. So we really appreciate having the opportunity to be here and hear about the accomplishments of our students, and at the same time have the opportunity to recognize some of our staff who contribute so mightily to the success of our students. So we'd like to take the next bit of our meeting here and recognize our 2018 retirees, many of whom couldn't be here this evening, but those that could be here, we wanted to take the time to recognize them. So we're going to start with Cedar Hill School and Mr. Paul Simpola, who's going to recognize one retiree from Cedar Hill.
She got the best seat in the house. Good evening. I have the pleasure of speaking about a wonderful person this evening. I have had the great fortune of knowing Fern, both as a parent. I had her children, Julie and Evan, as students at William Annan years ago, and most recently as a colleague working with her at Cedar Hill the past 2 years. Fern DeMaglio is a pleasure, and Cedar Hill has been fortunate to have her among its staff working in the special education department as an instructional aide for the past 17 years. But for the moment, let's turn back the clock and explore some of Fern's earlier escapades. Fern grew up in Brooklyn, New York. She attended the first Beatles concert at Shea Stadium in 1965 at the tender age of 12. Fern said she proudly donned her I Love Paul necklace, which she wishes she had kept. Tito Puente Jr. and his band played at Fern's Sweet 16 party at John's Ice Cream Parlor. The Puente family were customers of Fern's parents' dry cleaning business. Fern attended Brooklyn College, where she met her husband Frank in an English literature class. The couple moved to Basking Ridge in 1987 and lived here until recently. Both of Fern's children, Frank and Fern's children, Julie and Evan, were lucky enough to both attend Berners Township schools. Fern taught at the Treehouse for 10 years prior to coming to Cedar Hill, and at Cedar Hill, she has worked and played for the past 17 years. While first at Cedar Hill, Fern worked as an instructional aide on the first grade with teachers such as Marcia Scheffler, Kristen Smurillo, Stephanie Orr, Kathleen Heitman, and Amanda Tevan. From 2006 on, Fern moved to the LLD Learning and Language Disabled classes, and she's been there ever since. In speaking with some of Fern's recent and current students, they describe Mrs. DeMaglio as follows. Mrs. DeMaglio is so nice to me. She helps me with reading. Mrs. DeMaglio helps me a lot in math. She also works on letters with me. Mrs. DeMaglio helps me with math and does lots of crafts with us. When I met Mrs. DeMaglio for the first time, she always has the same smile. She's funny, nice, and helpful to me. She is a great teacher. She plays games with me like tic-tac-toe, but with letters, not X's and O's. Mrs. DeMaglio is really kind. Mrs. DeMaglio says, "Groovy, man." Mrs. DeMaglio has helped me do my math work and learn adding and subtracting. Mrs. DeMaglio helped us find where to go when we were new at Cedar Hill. Mrs. DeMaglio got us off the bus every day and took me to my car at the end of the day. Staff members say that anyone who has ever worked with Fern can tell you that she is always 2 steps ahead of the teacher. Just as you are thinking about the next thing you have to do, she has it ready to go, paper laid out, shapes cut and ready to go, markers and pencils all organized by color. When Fern works on your room, it is ultra organized. She starts by offering to straighten the cabinets, and before you know it, everything is organized and has the perfect place and she has purged anything that is not needed. Even the construction paper is organized by color, shade, and size. If you don't know where it is, just ask, and she will happily have it ready to go in a second. Fern always smiles and never complains when she's working with kids. Fern has worked with students in the physical disabilities as well as students in the learning disabilities, and no matter what, she demonstrates amazing patience and empathy for how hard they are working. When they want to give up, she finds a way to help them through so that they can be successful. Fern mused that a student once summed up her career just perfectly. She told her mom that Fern was the nicest maid, M-A-I-D-E, that she ever had. You can't ask for more than that, Fern said. Fern told me that she is especially looking forward to enjoying time with her grandson, Franklin, when she retires. Fern, we will miss you. Your smile, your sense of humor, your organizational skills, your lighthearted way of looking at life. We hope you love retirement and enjoy your time with your family and particularly your grandson. Congratulations from your Cedar Hill family. Thank you. Fern, where are you? Where is Fern? Oh, there you are.
Okay, congratulations, Fern, and thank you, Mr. Sampola. Next up, we have Dr. Jim Oliver, who's going to represent his school, Liberty Corner, for one retiree from that location.
Good evening. I'd like to start off by just inviting Alexis up with me. Come on up. Come on up. If you don't mind. I told you I'd put my arm around you.
Very good, very good.
When I think about Alexis Corolla and her career, what comes to my mind is actually her friendly smile. How she's always here for the right reasons, which of course are our children. Her flexibility and always her dependability. Alexis has been a true asset to our school community, and we really do thank you. She's worked with the children for many years, and I feel privileged to share with you some of her feelings. She has said, "I feel that I have been in the business of educating the young for my entire life. I have taught in many various ways, from pre-K through seniors in high school. I have substituted, taught 8th grade at a Catholic grammar school, had my own nursery school in my house so that I could be there with my own children to raise them, and did much for my church in CCD, high school classes, and theater groups. So, working with the young at various stages of their development is pretty much my passion. I feel blessed to have had a part in the growth of our future generations. LCS has been a very special place in my heart. Our first 3 children came to Liberty Corner. I remember vividly going to Paul's parent-teacher conferences, visiting the nurse's office, which is now Mr. R's office, for our daughter Nicole, and talking to Mrs. Pinkman about our daughter Jennifer, then in 2nd grade. LCS was the first school that we encountered in Basking Ridge some 47 years ago, and we felt that we had found a family there then. Coming back to LCS as a full-time paraprofessional for 14 years ago, after raising 5 children who had grown, was made easy by the warmth and caring of the community. At LCS, Alexis has worked with Trish Mannies for 3 years, Mrs. Climbs for 10 years. They've had a lot of fun, I know that. And a year with Amanda Reyes. When asked what Alexis will do once she retires, she shared, "I hope the grace of God to continue learning, growing, and doing for others." and especially spending more time with Paul, my husband of 52 years. She also shared that her and Paul have 10 grandchildren and how important they are to both of them. And with this newfound time, she looks forward to spending much more with them. Alexis, thank you very much for your dedication to our children and to our school, and we wish you all the best in the future.
Okay. So next up, we have two retirees from Mount Prospect School, and we have two folks that came this evening to speak on their behalf. First up, we have Allison Reed, one of our supervisors in special services, and she's going to speak on behalf of the first, and Ms. Hosney will follow her shortly thereafter. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Christine has been a highly skilled and dedicated instructional staff member in our district for the last 19 years. She currently serves as an instructional aide in special education at Mount Prospect School. Christine's life began in Brooklyn, New York, where she was born and raised. She later received her teaching certificate from Baruch College in New York City, where when she graduated, she took a job outside the teaching profession and began working on Wall Street, where she met and married her supportive husband, Richard. They later moved to Nutley, New Jersey, and then here to Basking Ridge, where she stayed at home to raise her two children, Kristen and Richard Jr. As her children entered the school districts, Christine began volunteering in the elementary schools, including chairing committees for the PTO. In September of 1998, she began working at Cedar Hill School as an instructional aide in the kindergarten and first grade LLD classroom. After several years in that position, she was offered a position in the Comprehensive Behavior Analytic Program, where she's been working as a one-on-one instructional aide for children with autism for the last 10 years. In her 19 years with us in Berners Township, she has demonstrated commitment to the education of our students who require the most intensive supports. Christine is patient, calm, and positive with the students. She gets to know each student extremely well. Christine is dedicated and goes above and beyond for the job, often coming in early or staying late to ensure all materials are prepared for the student for that day's success. Christine is proactive in her role with the students and consistently goes beyond what is expected of her in the position. As a colleague, Christine is a great friend, supportive, and very empathetic to others. Her students and colleagues will miss her greatly. We wish her all the best in her retirement. Congratulations.
And she's on her way, Ms. Hosney.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call down Ms. Terry Vina. Come on down. You're the next contestant on the retiree row. The name of these flowers are hot merengue, and that kind of explains the Terry we won't talk about tonight. That'll be on Thursday at a retirement party. So I'm going to try to get this without crying because we go way, way, way back. Okay. I am truly honored to wish Ms. Terry Vina a fond congratulations on her impending retirement. After 29 years, can we have a round of applause? 29 years of teaching, mostly in kindergarten, she's decided to move on to the next phase of her life. Terry attended Georgian Court College and Seton Hall University. Throughout her career, she created lesson plans that met the needs of many different students. She attended and presented at workshops. Terry created PDPs and SGOs on numerous topics, ranging from broad ideas, this was back in 1994, like gaining confidence in the curriculum and stress management, that hasn't changed much, to utilizing data from formative assessments such as the PALS to create differentiated lesson plans to meet the needs of the diverse learners in the kindergarten classroom as they develop socially and emotionally throughout the school year. That's today. How do you like that? Very well done. My, how things have changed. Early in her career, she opened up her classroom to visitors from the Mount Olive School District. Remember that? They were extremely impressed with her willingness to share her knowledge about the everyday math program. Flexibility and eagerness are two words that I would definitely use for Terry. Whenever called upon, she would jump in to fill in for a teacher who went home sick, sit in on an interview committee, or help plan kindergarten parent orientation. She is also a former Teacher of the Year. Since I only have a few minutes, there's not enough time to tell the audience everything about Terry she has done to make Mount Prospect School the special place it is. However, she is considered one of the pillars and the best cheerleaders of our school. Parents and colleagues alike could spend hours talking about the wonderfulness that is you. What I truly love is her heart. It shines through in everything that she does and is open to everyone that she meets. And that will always be part of the core of what makes Mount Prospect School Mount Prospect. In 1994, when Terry completed a biographical sketch about herself, she wrote, and this is a little future coming, "I plan to continue further in the education field. Although it's a long road, a PhD is not out of the question, and my husband Michael will be my biggest push. Kindergarten is the love of my life, as I used to play school in the basement with my imaginary students when I was little. My mother was ready to have my head examined," and this is, I'm quoting, "My only hope through all of these changes and challenges is that I'm old and gray and will still be teaching kindergarten with a manicuring business on the side." Well, you're not necessarily old and you're not really gray, but you still are teaching kindergarten, and we wouldn't have changed anything for the world. I'm not sure where the manicuring business fits in, but good luck with that in retirement. I've had the pleasure of knowing you not only as an administrator, but as a colleague and a friend for almost, wow, I was just a baby. My fondest memories of you have been attending every school event from the Oak Street days all the way to bingo night just the other month. You've made and sustained friendships with teachers, parents, former students over the many years. You have been our go-to historian. If you want to know who the superintendent was in 1995, which secretary worked under him, or how many students were in her third graduating class, she would remember that. It is absolutely amazing. Her smile, dedication, warm laugh, her love of sports, and an AccuCut machine will always be remembered. As you prepare for the next phase of your life, I want to reiterate some of the lessons that you taught your students and all of us at Mount Prospect School. May all the teachings of those you admire become a part of you so that you may call upon them. Remember those whose lives you have touched and who have touched yours. They are always a part of you, even if those encounters were less than you would have wished. It is the content of the encounter that is more important than its form. May you not become too concerned with status, but instead place immeasurable value on the goodness in your heart. Find time in every day to see beauty and the love in the world around you. Realize that each person has limitless possibilities and that each of us is different in our own way. Most importantly, may you see your future as filled with promise and opportunity. Congratulations and best wishes for the next phase of your life.
Thank you, Ms. Hosney. And last but not least, our new high school principal, Mr. Kraus, is here to represent Ridge and a few retirees coming from his school.
Thank you, Mr. Markarian. I have the trifecta this evening. I have 3 retirees that I'm looking forward to speaking about. First one is Mr. Brush. Is he here? Come on down, Mr. Brush. There's a quote that says, "Teachers teach more by what they are than what they say." How fortunate for Bernards Township that Steve Brush has influenced our students since September of 1984. For those who are math challenged, that's 35 years in the district. Plus 2 years at Manville High School at the start of his career. Stretching those math skills a little further, Steve teaches 5 courses per year with an average of 27 students per class. That's exactly 135 students each year. Multiply that by 35 years, and he has taught in our district 4,725 students. That's something. If you factor in the students Steve has positively impacted through coaching, both softball and wrestling, that number grows exponentially. Notice the math references. Steve graduated from Kuchog High School on Long Island in 1977 and was considered the best first baseman they ever had. Clearly, another missed opportunity for the New York Mets. He continues his education at the University of Scranton, graduating with a BS in secondary education. With a concentration in math and physics, he went on to receive his master's degree in supervision and administration from Seton Hall University. Colleagues are uniform in their responses about Steve. Genuine, professional, funny, dedicated, organized, classy, and kind. He's always there to lend a helping hand. Steve is constantly one of the first people to participate in faculty activities, whether it's providing a picture for the staff's themed bulletin boards, playing on the undefeated senior faculty volleyball team against the students and winning, participating in the staff's Biggest Loser competition, and as a member of the staff Sunshine Committee. When asked to give advice to a Ridge alumna entering the teaching profession, Steve shared these words of wisdom. A sense of humor and kindness go a long way. Keep it simple. Be a positive example, be a good listener, be fair, and be prepared. Finally, always remember the little things like a smile or a kind greeting may be the best thing that happens to some student their whole day, and hence, they're not small at all. One of Steve's former supervisors, Marion Palumbo, commented that Steve was always a kid's teacher. He understood his students and realized that sometimes kids make mistakes, and he understood students who had real problems. As much as he was intent on them learning mathematics, he was also concerned about them growing into healthy adults. Kristen Wolf, another former supervisor, describes Steve as a quiet leader in the department. He has always welcomed new teachers into the department and taken them under his wing. Steve has also been known to relate math applications to sports. The sports analogy makes sense, as he told his current math supervisor, Ms. Bowman, that he believes it's a teacher's responsibility to teach all the students you have, not just the starting team, but also the substitutes and role players. Another factor in Steve's success as a teacher was marrying another math teacher who works in a different district. While they have led parallel lives in their careers, it is time for their daily lives to be joined again. As Steve and Joanne say goodbye to the tension and hello to their pension, they will surely utilize their math talents in several ways. Their formula for retirement includes traveling to countless new places. The possibilities are now infinite. They have also been known to practice their probability and statistics skills in Atlantic City and Vegas, and the odds are great that these trips will continue. They will be sure to spend time with their beautiful children. Steve will also have more time to spend on his landscaping and gardening in this next segment of his life. Steve, we are so appreciative of all you have contributed to our district throughout your career. This August, as we are all preparing for the coming school year, we hope and know your summer will continue and that you and Joanne will enjoy the prime of your life. Congratulations. Mr. Ken Sherry. Okay, Mr. Ken Cherry. This is the many roles of Ken. Prior to retired Ken, there was special education teacher Ken, soccer coach Ken, and transition coordinator Ken. I'd like to share a bit about the past Kens, in addition to one or two more unknown versions. Ken joined us from ECLC, a special education school, in 2002, and worked both in resource room and the ICS classes. Before long, he became the go-to teacher in the self-contained program. Recognizing that these students needed the skills to thrive after high school, Ken worked with Gene O'Connell to start the vocational studies program. In this program, Ken was instrumental in teaching students the skills necessary to work and live in the community. More specifically, Ken was able to pass on his own talents in tying ties and shaving, although clearly he's since forgotten to do both. In addition to preparing the students, Ken was instrumental in facilitating job placements by meeting with local business leaders, training our job coaches, and developing the community-based instruction program. Many students have gone on to full-time employment as a result of the training and placements initiated by Ken, and Bernards Township has even been the beneficiary of having one of these students working in our district. For soccer coach Ken, we have turned to Enzo Minicosi, who shared that Ken has been coaching since the 1980s, starting with town and travel teams and up through the state and national teams. Ken is well known in the world of soccer and clearly touched and influenced many people over the years, as evidenced by the responses of those who shared fond memories. I'll use Enzo's words here. He taught me a lot about not just the discipline of coaching, but the process of building and guiding a team throughout a season. He's competitive, and he's constantly looking to evolve as a coach, whether it's tactics or new formations. Other coaches usually just do the same old thing, and he really highlighted to me to never be that way. I always loved his enthusiasm for the sport, and I hope I could replicate even a fraction of that going forward. In addition to his coaching, Ken has several other hobbies, including playing drums and cycling. He's even been known to train some amateur triathletes. One of those trainings shared a story of struggling to get the bike up a hill, and despite pleas to move on and let her die on the road, Ken stayed with her, stating he would never leave a triathlete behind. Happily, retired Ken no longer needs those tie tying or shaving skills, but he will be able to continue his cycling career. We hope that in all of these various travels, that people will be able to understand his Scottish accent when he orders a sandwich. And speaking of sandwich, Jean O'Connell apologizes for not being here, but she's still exhausted from cooking the 29 pounds of corned beef for your party. We will miss you and wish you all the best, Ken. Congratulations on your retirement. Last, certainly not least, Miss Roseanne Trulos. There are so many words that can be used to describe a school nurse: compassionate, generous, caring, empathetic, thoughtful, loving, calm, warm, smart, and reliable. And all of these accurately apply to Roseanne Trulos. However, don't mess with her. She is a black belt in Taekwondo. Roseanne has stated that her experience as an instructor for the American Taekwondo Academy provided invaluable opportunities to learn and grow both personally and professionally. Prior to coming to William Ann in 2003 and transferring to Ridge in 2004, Roseanne worked as an operating room nurse. Clearly, her Taekwondo and operating room experiences explain the calm demeanor she displays in any emergency situation. If there are any parents here this evening who have received a call from Roseanne in the health office, then you know that she begins her calls with, "Everything is fine," to immediately ease any concerns on the other end of the phone. Here's another story that epitomizes how Roseanne takes thoughtfulness to the next level. Every year, Roseanne is responsible for doing the hearing test for the entire sophomore class. She pulls the students out of their health classes in order to test them. And at the end of the marking period, Roseanne sends the health and PE teachers Dunkin' Donuts gift cards to thank them for allowing the disruption. Roseanne is a wonderful role model to our students on living a healthy life. She can regularly be seen on Lake Road at the end of the school day as she walks the 2 miles to her home. She doesn't just talk the talk, she literally walks the walk. Scott Thompson, one of the Ridge High School assistant principals, described Roseanne as one who always makes decisions that are in the best interests of the kids, whether it is a popular decision or not. The students' health and well-being is the utmost important to her and the deciding factor in all that she does. And we truly appreciate that here at the high school. In my time as principal at Ridge, I have gotten to know Roseanne as someone who is genuine, respectful, and caring. It has been my privilege to have worked with you this past year, Roseanne. It is said that a school nurse begins life after retirement when they can safely answer their phones again. Roseanne, we are so grateful for the 15 years of service that you have provided to Bernards Township. Now it is time for your entire family and loved ones to reap the benefits of your additional time with them. Congratulations on your retirement, Roseanne. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you again, everyone that came, for our students and staff. We're going to move on to our next segment of the meeting at this point in time. Again, thank you for everyone that contributed to tonight's proceedings. I know we had a lot of administrators, families, faculty here, students. Have a great night. Thank you so much. Board members, we're going to head back up onto the stage. Thank you again for your attendance this evening.
Okay, at this point, we're up to superintendent's report. Mr. Markarian?
Okay. So thank you again for all of your attention this evening. It's really a great privilege to be able to be part of proceedings like we just completed. The only thing that I wanted to mention in superintendent's report was a reminder about our strategic plan dates that we have set for next fall. October 1st, October 15th, and November 5th, I believe, are the 3 dates. They will be meetings here at Ridge High School at 7 p.m. in the cafeteria. I sent out a notice to families a couple weeks ago about it. I'll put it out again this week in my weekly message to parents, and we'll get it up on the website. There's a little RSVP link if you're interested in attending. We would ask that you reply back to that email address so that we can just keep a head count and plan accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, we're up to public comment on agenda items. If you do come up, please tell us your name and address. You can sign in on the clipboard after you talk if you want to. Just make sure you tell us your name and address when you come up to the microphone. Nobody for agenda items? Okay, I'll close that. We're up to approval of minutes. Would someone like to make a motion? Mrs. Wooldridge and Mrs. Swarner. Does anyone have any comments or questions about the minutes? Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Byrne?
Yes on the first 2 items. I'm sorry, yes on the first executive committee. I missed the second and the regular meeting I was at. So 2 of the 3 are yes.
Is that an abstention then on the third? Abstention? Abstention on the second executive, I meant the...
Yes, that's what it was. I stayed here and
Yeah.
missed the session.
Mrs. Swarner?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Salmon?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
I'm abstaining from the first executive session because I wasn't there for most of it. Yes on the second and yes on the regular.
Mrs. Korn?
Yes.
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McHugh?
Yes.
Madam President?
Thank you. We're up to the Finance Committee report. There is one item under Finance. Would someone like to make a motion? Mrs. Corrin, Mr. Salmon seconded it. The Finance Committee has not met, Mr. Salmon. The Finance Committee has not met since our last report, so I don't have a report. So can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mrs. Swarner?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Salmon?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Korn?
Yes.
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McHugh?
Yes.
Madam President?
Thank you. We're up to personnel. How many items are there? I forgot to check. 16. Would someone like to make a motion? Mrs. Swarner and Mrs. White second. Would you like to do a report? You want to do that before we vote? Or? Okay, we can vote. Does anyone have any questions or comments on these items? No? Okay, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mrs. Swarner?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Salmon?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Korn?
Yes.
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McHugh?
Yes.
Madam President?
Thank you. Okay.
I was unable to attend the last Personnel Committee meeting, so Mrs. Gray graciously took and is going to be delivering the minutes.
The committee met on the committee did not meet on June 4th. That's today. My apologies. I don't remember when we met. May 18th, yes, I do. The Feminist Club at Ridge High School is in their 3rd year. They're about to complete their 3rd year. Some of their activities include their mission to educate Ridge High School student body on gender discrimination and to advance awareness of women's issues in the United States. They have participated in announcements during School Violence Week, collaborated with the school safety team, raised awareness of the International Women's March, and participated in the Women's Leadership Summit. In accordance with board policy, they are now eligible to seek board support beginning next year. The cost of the stipend is $1,272. The committee recommends board support for this club. The committee discussed various employment contracts and personnel openings. Mr. Syed gave an update on the open plant and engineer position. The position was approved for hire in January of 2016. Mr. Frank Scipione was approved by the Board of Education to fill that position recently, and he will begin working on June 11th. Mr. Syed advised the committee that there are 4 essential teaching positions to be added. As such, the committee supports the priority hiring of an American Sign Language teacher, a tech ed teacher, and a 2/5 English language arts teacher, and a 2/5 world language teacher. And in one other employment topic, the committee discussed the idea of a director of security. A new director of security position is being recommended by the committee after hearing from Mr. Markarian and Mr. Syed that Mr. Thompson's role, it's just overflowing with the responsibilities of that position. The committee unanimously recommended prioritizing the hiring of a district director of security. In addition, the administration will ask the Burns Township Police Department to advertise for prospective SLEO 3 candidates to see if we can get coverage for the Ridge High School front door position and other district security needs. That's it.
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Thank you, Ms. Gray. Yeah, so I just wanted to follow up for those of you who might have previewed the agenda a little bit. We had a item, number 4, that was just voted on, excuse me, it was number 3 under personnel, which was abolishing the position of the Ridge High School security officer. And I just want to make it clear that the purpose of that was not to take away the post, if you will, and the assignment of having someone to manage visitors and process visitors at the entrance of Ridge High School. We are going to maintain a person to do that job. However, we are looking at really redefining what that role would be, and as Ms. Gray just described, the Personnel Committee discussed the option of having some SLEO 3 class officers possibly able to help us, not only with that position in monitoring the front access at Ridge High School, but hopefully to work with the local police department to see how else they might be able to assist us. Keeping in mind that these officers are limited in the amount of hours that they can do each week, and therefore it may be necessary to have a platoon or a group, if you will, of officers that might be able to help us staff that position at the entrance of Ridge High School. And that's really the focus of my conversation with the Personnel Committee, was to really seek support for being able to work with the local police department and really explore how the SLEOs might be able to be used to cover that position. Really, that one position is what we are looking to cover with the SLEOs to make sure that that front entrance area is well monitored. However, one of the recommendations that you may recall from our recent consultant was to see if it's possible to try to do more coverage with some of our evening events. And if we can work with the police department to potentially have some SLEO staff available for evening events, like we sometimes have officers for some of our athletic events, it would certainly give the board the possibility of other options, more cost-friendly options, to help have some additional support for large events here at the high school, things of that nature. The other position that Ms. Gray described with respect to a director of safety and security, one of the things we really talked at length about was the fact that the current role of safety and security has expanded dramatically over the last several years, specifically starting with school safety. We have district safety team. We also have school level safety teams, and the function of the safety teams is largely about protecting our students with regard to anti-bullying campaigns, and documenting the training efforts, documenting the intervention procedures that occur in that area. That has represented a large workload, and no one has really been assigned specifically to look at just that area as their main job function. It's currently sprinkled out across all the schools with lots of folks involved, and that would continue to be the case. But to have someone that could make that an area of constant attention is on the safety side of things. Of course, on the security side of things, we have lots of systems that need attention and monitoring, whether it be door controls and door access and keys and cameras and monitors, intercom systems, things of that nature, of a physical plant nature, but also with respect to training staff, training students, documenting all the training and the drills that we have to do. And most recently, the state has required that each school district name a safety and security officer for the district, which technically has to be a certificated administrator. We are not proposing to add another administrator for that role, but rather to help whoever is named in that role, and specifically in our district, that has been Scott Thompson, to have someone that can help do that work and give it proper due attention, because he's just spread too thin with his other duties. So we're looking at that role as someone who can really give full attention to not only security issues, but also safety issues, state reporting issues, board reporting issues, and taking a leadership role in working with staff and students on practicing drills, safety, and security. We've got a lot of things that person can do full-time to really give it their attention. And having somebody working at it as a focused area of attention rather than as something they have to try to juggle along with all the other things they're doing, I think is the right move for our district, given the current culture and world that we're living in, and all the responsibilities and duties associated with that role that have evolved over the course of the last several years. So that's why I'm recommending that we really go out and start pursuing someone that could fill that role, hopefully this week.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? No? Okay. We are now up to the policy committee.
Sorry. So we met on May 14th in policy. Excuse me. And we had a discussion. One of our discussions regarding regulation 2624, the grading system, and we were just looking into if there's already language in there about how long teachers have to keep assessments or graded materials of students, and we just want to make sure that the language is still applicable, is still working for us, and if we should strengthen it or add more language to that regarding how long teachers would keep student assessments in their portfolios, whether they use the tests for in the grades or not. And then we talked about the policy 8210, which is a school district calendar, which obviously is a big discussion. So it's not ready for the first reading yet, but we worked on brainstorming options for the school calendar, and we talked about possible language adjustments. And the parameters for the suggested changes for future calendars, that would be 1920 and beyond, not next year's calendar, would be like the number of school days for the students should not exceed 183 days. No days for staff or students in August. And the goal was to have a graduation no later than June 20th. And using those parameters, try to come up with a calendar that works for everyone so we can avoid the mess that was this past year. So we looked over a new format. I think you guys, I don't know if you could see it when you clicked on it, and it was, in color, and it was kind of, I think it was a little bit more user-friendly, and that will be available to everyone on our website. So we built in 4 to 5 snow days, and then early snow days can be made up on Martin Luther King Day, which is January 20th, or February 16th, which is the Tuesday after President's Day. But if we use Martin Luther King Day, we said we'd use a date for a makeup day, and we could still honor the day with an abbreviated schedule or early dismissal. that day. And if we exceed all built-in snow days, then we can make up any days necessary to reach the 180 days of instruction by adding days in June after graduation. So that would save our spring break. The 18-19 calendar, we can take the extra days after graduation. But right now, the New Jersey Department of Education is saying that we can do this, but if something changes, we'd have to revise the calendar somehow. Right now, the Attorney General is not authorized using the days after graduation. So, I mean, we're kind of in a little bit of an impasse, but figure it out. We also have to have a sidebar with the teachers to exclude taking snow days out of spring break, because that's what it says now. We'd have to approve the new format, but there's no changes to the calendar in terms of days scheduled for next year for school. They had to designate the in-service days, which I think we did one already, and then reapprove new snow day plans for 18-19, even though we're not actually changing any planned days of school. It's just the snow day makeup, just the makeup plans changing, not any school days at all. Also, school's going to be closed for students on Diwali when it falls on a weekday, starting with the 2021 calendar. And that was pretty much a discussion for that. We had a bunch of policy alerts. They're not on here for first reading, but next for the next time. So should I go through them now, or I can wait till they're on there?
You can do them next time if you
I'll go through them next time, so they'll be for everyone to see them then. And then we had the second reading. We already did that last time regarding the use of computer networks and resources.